The Vision High School Sports Beat is brought to you by the 11 locally owned Vision Automotive Group dealerships, offering Buick GMC, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, Hyundai, Kia, and Nissan, and the resale division, with locations in Webster, Henrietta, Penfield, Fairport, Canandaigua, Ontario, and Palmyra, and online at visionauto.com.
Hi everyone, and thanks for joining us. This is the Vision High School Sports Beat. I'm Bill Pucko. Each week at this time, we take a comprehensive look at sports in Section 5 in Monroe County, and we start with our honor roll of high school teams. And number 3 this week, Franklin High School baseball. Quakers at 12-5 headed to the RCAC championship game and own 7 straight wins doing it. And number 2, Fairport softball, 15-3 atop Monroe County Division I. Claire Aroni worked a 3-hitter to beat Rush Henrietta. And at number 1, Pittsford boys lacrosse, 13-1. To start the week, Colby Barker scored 5 goals against Fairport. Brennan Mooney netted 6 to help beat Brighton. Which brings us to the softball fields of Rush Henrietta, where this year the Royal Comets are better than relevant. Rush Henrietta is running with the big girls on the softball field this year. The Royal Comets began the week 14-4 and have separated themselves from all but Fairport Victor in the Class AA standings. They got there on the strength of 2 veteran pitchers and a lineup that averages 7.5 runs per game, led by catcher Jamie Rogers.
I've known Jamie since she was 12. So when she started down at the RHA fields, I was involved, and I actually saw her whole cohort for her graduation year. They all have been playing together. So I've seen her come up, and she just, every year she just comes in, she just has such a love for the sport and a willingness to get better and improve on whatever little thing that she can do. And her confidence level definitely has soared since her first year on varsity. So she's a hard worker, and she just wants to be the best that she can be.
Rogers' season was punctuated by a 3-home run game.
That was definitely a high point. I try not to let it get to my head though. I mean, it's a good game, but there's more to come.
Jamie's presence at the plate can be attributed to strength training.
I think working out and training is definitely very important. I've been working out for about 3 years, but I have a trainer now, and it's definitely helped me a lot. They just give me workouts to do, and there is running parts of it, and I think it really has helped my strength, and that's part of where my power has come from.
But not just strength training, sports-specific strength training.
The main thing is getting the muscles that you need to hit. Training those specific muscles is definitely part of it. I mean, if you just work out doing whatever just to get big or whatever, it might do some, but if you really focus in on those certain muscles, it will go a lot farther.
While Rogers can play literally anywhere on the diamond, you'll find her most often behind the plate, where she has the freedom, along with the complete confidence of her coach, to call her own game.
It's easier for her to do that, and I trust her to do that, and I trust them to communicate between the pitcher and the catcher, and just say, hey, this is working, this isn't working. We got to remember not to throw this to her the next time. So I don't really think it's a leap of faith. It's just a natural progression of the game. I prefer my catchers to call their own game. They're right there in the moment. I sit 20, 30 feet away, and what I see and what they see are 2 different things.
I try to see how the batters are swinging and where they're standing, and if I can jam them on the inside or whatever, but I try my best.
The ability has always been there. What makes this season so enjoyable for Rogers and the rest of her teammates at Rush Henrietta is the Royal Comets are winning. That 14-4 record places them third in the Monroe County Division I standings and in the sectionals point race. They split 2 games against top-ranked Fairport and should be a contender come tournament time.
In the past, teams haven't really viewed us as like that powerhouse, but I think now that they are starting to realize like, oh, we're playing our age, we better focus in and get our game on, so it's definitely exciting.
Coming up next, Odyssey's Mike O'Grady joins us in the Dunkin' Donuts Coach's Corner, and later on, Eastridge Lacrosse and its first superstar, when the Vision High School Sports Beat continues. Add a burst of real fruit refreshment to your iced tea or iced green tea. Try Dunkin's new blackberry or mango pineapple fruited iced teas today. America runs on Dunkin'. Welcome back to the Vision High School Sports Beat. I'm Bill Pucko. It is time now for our Dunkin' Donuts Coach's Corner. Pleased to be joined by Mike O'Grady, who is the JV baseball coach at Greece Odyssey. Mike, thanks for joining us. Hey, Greece Arcadia graduate, what's it like coaching in your hometown?
It's quite it's interesting for me because I've never really left Greece minus going to college, so it's kind of nice to see some of the old teachers and then some of my old coaches I have actually coached against, which is kind of interesting. It's been it's a lot of fun. I can't imagine myself being anywhere else but here.
Does anyone ever tell you says you got to get out more?
Yeah, right.
You got to leave the borders a little bit. Well, you went to SUNY Oswego.
Yes.
And you special ed. We get a lot of coaches who teach special ed. What's the relationship there?
Well, I think for special ed, as a special ed teacher, you have to be patient, understanding, calm, and that's kind of like what I do with my kids. I have a self-contained classroom of 5 kids that I work with all day, so I take those type of things and translate it onto the field for the a couple 8th graders, 9th and 10th graders that I coach every day during the baseball season.
So they really do work well together, huh?
Yeah, they do. And some of my kids actually have gotten to know a couple of the other kids I teach, so it's kind of nice. They'll interact when they see each other in the hallways and stuff like that. And I had a kid that was a manager for my team last year, and the kids enjoyed him and embraced him as one of their own. So
nice.
It's kind of nice.
How rewarding is the whole thing? I mean, when you go home at night, young guy and everything, with the way you spend your day and then you get to coach in the afternoon, you got to be kind of pleased with yourself.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to see the growth from all the the kids, because most of the kids I had for 2 years in modified, now I have them for 2 years in JV, so it's kind of nice to see the growth there. And then with the growth of my kids in school, it's just it's a very nice feeling to go home to, knowing that I'm, helping out as much as I can.
Yeah. Well, Odyssey is kind of like the stepchild of Greece athletics because it's a smaller school. You're always playing teams that are, bigger and have more depth than you. How do you, especially at the JV level, adapt to that?
I just tell my guys, we just have to play the game like we know how to play, stay competitive, be, have good sportsmanship throughout the game. I really try to install those 3 things into them throughout the season. We just try to, play the game like we know and not to make too many mental mistakes. And so far this year, we've been pretty lucky.
Yeah. Do you have to temper the fact that one of these bigger schools and occasionally comes down and you get a beat down that you just have to say, hey, don't worry about it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's happened once this year, and I talked to them after the game as when we do our huddle and stuff like that after the game. And I just tell them, guys, it's part of the game. Sometimes you just are off and you have a rough day. But we got to bounce back and come back and be ready for the next team. And, just kind of be upbeat about it, never negative with them. That's because being upbeat and positive seems to work with them.
And pays dividends comes tournament time, right? Because now you're playing, it's got to seem almost easy to some extent.
Yeah, I think so. Some of the kids, for being me being positive and upbeat towards them, they don't get down on themselves, and they actually, we've had a stretch of 4 games in 5 days so far, and it can be tiresome, but they're pretty upbeat about it, so it's a good thing to have.
Except for, as I remember, it was except for girls soccer, which has always been strong at the school. It's again, the sports is kind of in a bit of the background. Is it, in the time you've been here, is that changing at all? Is Odyssey getting better, more of a presence?
I think so overall in general. Just there's some good athletes that are starting to develop in the modified JV level, and then you just have to keep working on that, and then they seem to be flourishing when they get to varsity. So I think that's a pretty true statement.
Well, very good. Mike O'Grady, keep up the good work. It's nice having you on the Coaches
Thank you
Corner.
very much. I appreciate it.
All right. Mike O'Grady, the JV baseball coach here at Greece Odyssey, our guest on the Dunkin' Donuts Coaches Corner. Coming up, we salute our Wegmans Making the Grade nominee with Kim, and later, the shining star of Eastridge Lacrosse, when the Vision High School Sports Beat continues.
Welcome back, and thank you for watching the Vision High School Sports Beat. I'm Kim Burnson. It's time now for Making the Grade, brought to you by Wegmans. Wegmans is a proud supporter of Making the Grade, which highlights the accomplishments of Section 5 student athletes on and off the playing field.
Making the grade this week is Rebecca Britt, a senior at Fairport High School. As a leader on Fairport's varsity field hockey team, Rebecca helped guide the Red Raiders to a 2016 Class AA Section 5 championship in a 2-1 victory over Penfield. She was a midfielder whose athleticism played an instrumental role in her team's success this fall with 2 goals and 2 assists. Due to her impact on the field, Rebecca was selected for multiple athletic performance awards. She was a first-team All-County selection as an upperclassman and honored as an All-Greater Rochester candidate by the DNC for the 2016 fall season. On top of her performance on the field, Rebecca is recognized as a New York State Scholar Athlete and NHS member. She will continue her education at Bryn Mawr College in Pennsylvania, where she also plans to continue playing field hockey as well. Nominated for her work on the field and in the classroom, this week Rebecca Britt is making the grade.
If you have a student in mind for our Making the Grade segment, we want your nominations. You can send them in to info@classywolf.com. Now here's Bill with the Fidelis Care Section 5 calendar.
Fidelis Care offers quality, affordable health coverage for children and adults of all ages at all stages of life. Quality health coverage. That's our mission. Call 1-888-FIDELIS or visit fideliscare.org.
Here's a look at the week ahead, and a good one if you like tournament play. There are 4 classes of lacrosse this year, up from 3. Boys Class A, quarterfinals Tuesday, semis Friday at Webster Thomas, 5 and 7:30. On the girls' side, only 4 play for the Class A title. The semifinals are Saturday at HFL, 11 and 1 o'clock. The Bees are better. Quarterfinals Tuesday, Final 4 Friday at Pittsford Sutherland, those games at 5 and 7 o'clock. Baseball Class AA quarterfinals are Monday, the semis Wednesday, championship game is Saturday. Softball likewise, Class AA, the quarters are on Monday, the semis Wednesday, and the championship game Friday. Track and field, Section 5 championships, the 2 top classes compete at Rush Henrietta on Saturday beginning at 10. That's the Fidelis Care Section 5 calendar for the week ahead. Coming up, the doctor is in, Andrew at Eastridge, when the Vision High School Sports Beat continues.
Sign Impressions is more than just signs. It's a total graphics company. Embroidery, screen printing, team apparel, t-shirts, jackets, hats, and of course banners and signs. Visit signimpressions.com. Call us at 723-0420 to order your team or corporate apparel.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. This is the Vision High School Sports Beat. I'm Bill Pucko. Our Honor Roll of High School Athletes is brought to you by the Injury-Free Coalition for Kids. The Injury-Free Coalition for Kids of Rochester and the Smart Teen Driving Program, funded by the Allstate Foundation, encourages teens to pay attention, not get distracted, and to drive safely. Here's our Honor Roll of High School Athletes. At number 3, Craig Ikas of McQuaid. Shot the best round of golf this past week. It was a 36 for 9 holes at Deerfield in a match against Aquinas. At number 2, Emily Phelan of Bishop Kearney. For the week, Emily pitched in 3 games, had 2 2-hitters and a 3-hitter, and struck out a total of 31. At number 1, the Sammy Watson and Lene Tava Thomas duo at Rush Henrietta Track, who combined to break the Royal Comet Invitational records in the 100, 200, 400, 800, and 3,200-meter relay event. Watson's 800 run in front of her home crowd was the best run this year by a high school girl in the country. And now Sticky Lips Barbecue presents our Athlete of the Week. Is your school looking to raise money? Sticky Lips Barbecue has you covered. Check out our community barbecue fundraiser. Sticky Lips quality is an easy sell. Visit StickyLipsBBQ.com for more details. He is the player that they are trying to build the program around. The problem is, after spending 3 years as the career lacrosse scoring leader, Andrew Doctor is graduating from Eastridge this spring. He is the classic big fish in a small pond. Andrew Doctor is the big fish. Eastridge boys lacrosse, the small pond.
I have a great group that's coming up. The JV program's doing well, and the kids that I'm getting right now, the juniors, are all ready to play and they're enthusiastic. We're trying to build it a little. It's slow, but it's getting there.
The Lancers are flirting with a 500 season. They began the week 7 and 8, and while that may not sound like much, consider Eastridge won just 4 times, the last 2 years combined.
I think there's a lot of challenges that like some of those big East Side schools don't really recognize. I mean, we have kids playing for like the first year and stuff like that, coming into varsity and getting playing time because they're like a good athlete or something, and just teaching fundamentals at the varsity level where other schools have that all like ingrained already. It's just a completely different game. I mean, you're battling for everything with all these kids that all love the sport but just don't have the experience as other schools.
Doctor has certainly done his share. A senior now, Andrew has been the Lancers' leading career goal scorer since he was in the 9th grade. This year, Doctor scored his 300th career point. 100 of those points have come this season. He is the program's first superstar.
I mean, it's a real milestone for me. Like when I came out my freshman year, I knew I just wanted to put a bunch of points on the board and win a lot of games here. But I mean, you don't really realize it until people were looking at the stat sheet and like, Doc, you're almost at 300 points, and I go, no kidding. I mean, like the time just kind of flown by here, me and Coach, so it's just kind of crazy to think about that many times just going down the field and doing that stuff.
What's it been like playing with Andrew?
Oh, it's playing with Andrew is awesome because, you know, you can always count on him to score goals. He scores from the same spot every time. I don't know how, but he just does it, and he's a great feeder, and you could always count on him.
It is an interesting dichotomy. High school lacrosse was all but invented by the Lancers' crosstown rival Irondequoit. The West Siders were a powerhouse. Eastridge coach Matt Kleehammer was part of that tradition, class of '81.
There weren't as many teams, and it really wasn't as competitive as it is right now, because this is an all year-round thing parents are doing, summer, winter. And back in my day, you played 3 sports, and lacrosse, you played a little in the winter, you snuck from hockey practice, but it was only during the season.
West Irondequoit owns 16 sectional lacrosse titles, the last coming in 2012, the third of 3 straight. Andrew's 2 older brothers played on those teams and are among 42 All-Americans on the Irondequoit resume.
It's just different. I mean, we're battling here to have a good season, but a good season for us is completely different than a good season for them.
Like his 3 older brothers, Chris at Alfred, Daniel at Villanova, and Nick at Pennsylvania, Andrew will play college lacrosse at Hobart. The sport has already taken him places. He and Chris played in the European Lacrosse Championships in Budapest last summer, representing Latvia.
We've grown up kind of with like a Latvian culture in us, but I mean, going over there and like meeting a lot of the guys and like playing on a team with like true Latvians, also some like Americans sprinkled in, was just an amazing experience.
Was the team good?
So we finished 9th in the tournament out of like 26, so they're definitely like an up and coming power, so it's pretty cool to be a part of it at such a young age.
Now the focus is on wrapping up an epic high school career at Eastridge.
He's a great kid. He's one of the hardest workers on the team. He's always done everything I've asked, and from the first day he showed up freshman year, I just knew he was a player and he was going to do great things here at Eastridge.
We'd like to thank our sponsors, especially the 11 dealerships in the Vision Automotive Group. They make the Sports Beat possible. As do you. Thanks once again for watching. We'll see you again next week with the Vision High School Sports Beat.